Someday this war's gonna end.
Do you know what that's like?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to From the Other Side, your new window into the world, streaming direct from Minsk, Belarus. I'm Dave, originally from sunny shores of Australia, but now proudly calling Minsk my home.
And I'm Duke. I'm coming from the United States originally, and I'm just as thrilled to be here in Minsk. And we're bringing you the latest and the greatest Belarus and beyond from those places. And together we're here to unpack the stories that are shaping our world.
That's right, Duke. And it's not just us in the studio. We're excited to host a variety of in-studio guests and connected with virtual guests from all around the globe, right here in Minsk.
Yes, we are. And we have a lot of snow right now going on, but we're warm inside here. And our guests are going to bring a multitude of perspectives, making each episode a melting pot of ideas and discussions. And let's not forget, we're streaming this global conversation live on platforms including YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, X, and Facebook. I don't know if it's on Rumble. Is it on Rumble?
Not tonight. Not tonight. We had a bit of technical issues, but on the next show. So mark your calendars. We're live twice a week at 8 p.m. Minsk time, which is 5 p.m. GMT for our friends in London and 12 noon for our viewers in New York.
Okay. Yeah, well, you probably are surprised to hear us from Minsk here, but this is a first. And we're, like we both said, we're happy to be here. And whether we're going to come up with breaking news or in-depth analyses or candid conversations with our guests from the other side, promises to be your go-to unfiltered, diverse viewpoints of the world.
So grab your favorite snack, settle in, join us on the exciting journey. Remember, when it comes to understanding what's happening around the globe, there's always another side to the story. We are here to uncover it together on From the Other Side. I'd like to introduce everybody tonight. Duke on my left.
Nice to meet you.
Where are you from? How can people contact you?
Well, I am, like I said, originally from the United States. I'm living on the other side of Minsk. I got a long journey to get here, but I'm happy to be here. And I have a YouTube channel called Duke in Belarus. I was on Rumble, but I don't know, didn't please me so much. But I might get back on Rumble at some point in time.
And on my right, we've got Steve, expat from the US. Can you tell everybody about yourself and how they get hold of you?
I'm Steve. I don't really have a social media, but if you want to email me right now, you can get me at sr0415@yahoo.com. And I am a former New York State investigator for the New York State Health Department. And for 4 years, I worked as a special agent for Homeland Security. Back when I worked for them, they were ICE, and they changed their name to Homeland Security Investigations right as I was leaving.
Okay, cool. Okay, the schedule for tonight, hopefully we're going to talk about Belarus and then some world news, conflicts, and then hopefully we'll take some audience questions through the chat. So let's start. Duke, what do you want to start talking about?
Well, I just, like we both said, and Steve, I'm sure feels the same way. We're all thrilled about being here in Belarus. This is a country that is not on the radar for most people because it's not really broadcast anywhere around the world. It's like when we had the Minsk agreements here, everybody was saying, well, Minsk, where is that? And it's unknown, but it's like the 10th largest city in Europe. And what is it, even Frankfurt or Hamburg? There's only one city in Germany that's larger than Minsk. So, that's just there's a lot of facts that you're going to hear about Belarus when you're watching our show. So, you got to stay tuned and hear about it. What about the beautiful women? What do you guys think? What do you think about all these nice girls around here?
Eastern Europe's got a lot of beautiful women. Belarus is no exception.
Yeah, a lot of men come here for that, and I've even heard people on the other side over there. They're saying, "Hey, I want to get in contact with you, and I need a wife."
A lot of guys over there looking to get away from that sort of thing. Another hot option was Ukraine, but unfortunately that's kind of teetered out because of the whole conflict thing.
Yeah. Well, there's some people, they talk about Ukraine. There's some kind of stigma. Oh, they're a bunch of crazy people. That was even before the conflict. But I don't know. They have that ideology that's grown up there, and it was like around World War II, and it was fizzled out. And then, of course, our government, yours and mine, they were kind of reviving that
Yeah,
quite a few years ago, and now we have what we have.
yeah, it's a pretty dark situation. I know some Ukrainians. I know a guy who's ethnically a Russian. He was born in Latvia, actually, though, back when it was the Soviet Union. His parents are both Russian, and they moved to Australia actually a few years after he was born. And he and I became friends, and he ended up marrying a Ukrainian girl. And yeah, I mean, he's aware of a lot of things, but he's very emotional about the whole thing and everything. Because even though they don't live in Ukraine, they're living in Mexico. But I probably shouldn't be talking about him because he doesn't like me if I mention him. But I'm not going to name his name or anything. But because he has a YouTube channel too. Anyway, but yeah, it's a bad situation down there. I mean, and there's some other Ukrainians that I speak with that are very, you know, a lot of them aren't even in the country right now. They're just avoiding it, but they still have, houses and family there. So it's a nasty thing.
And Duke, why did you come here to Belarus?
Well, I was looking around it for some place to live, and I, because where I was living in the Caribbean before this. Of course, I'm originally from the United States. I lived 20 years in Germany as well. I was in the U.S. Army for 7 years, and then I went to the Caribbean. Great weather. I farmed coffee there, and I was a dental technician as well. I learned dental technician work in Germany, but they had this coup coming up, and from I guess the end of 2019, and that country was going crazy there, and they're trying to get everybody to get the jab in their shoulder, and I've got a family history of blood clots, and I thought, well, it'd be kind of stupid if I put something in my arm that causes blood clots. So and they were firing everybody from their jobs, and then they were threatening to say you can't go into a grocery store unless you got you got the jab, and and pretty soon you wouldn't be able to fly. I thought, it was before this Omicron came about, and of course Omicron saved humanity, but I was getting out of there at that time, and I was looking around at different countries, and it looked like Belarus was the best bet, and I was trying to compare all different kinds of things, prices and government and all sorts of things, freedom, mostly freedom. And it would be shocking to most people to find out that actually there's probably more freedom in Belarus than most any other country in the world. And it's like, what? We're told the opposite, But, what we're all about here on this show is to prove that those things are a lot of lies. It's not like the United States government has ever lied to anybody, right?
Never.
Yeah, and Steve, why did you come? How long have you been here?
Oh gosh, I've been here probably about 5.5 years now. Now, the first time I came here was back in March 2018, and the first time I was here, I spent 10 months, and then I went back to the U.S. for about 6 or 7 months, and I came back here for 3 months, and then I had to go back to the U.S. again, unfortunately, because my father passed. And I was back in the U.S. then again for almost an entire year, and that's when the whole COVID thing actually started up. But I came here basically because a lot of the reasons that we already mentioned with Duke, but cost of living came into play with me. The politics definitely came into play with me. Not so much necessarily freedom, but just looking for somewhere that was more kind of not so aligned with what the U.S. is doing, and then also the women, definitely a big part of it. Unfortunately, the one thing I didn't come here for that just happens to be the way it is the weather.
Yeah,
because it's exactly the same. It's literally like I went to the other side of the planet, and the weather is exactly the same as upstate New York, almost down to like the temperatures from day to day. It might be like slightly colder here than upstate New York, but it's minuscule, really, the difference between the weather there and here.
Yeah, actually, I lived in Alaska in Anchorage for 3 years as well. It got very cold there, -40.
Well, this is nothing to you, then.
Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Northern Territory in Darwin, where it's +30 all the time. Celsius.
Yeah, when I lived in Texas too for about 4.5 years, and down in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. I don't know if you know where that is, Brownsville. You know where Elon Musk is launching off these rockets from?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I lived like about 20 miles from there, and that place is like subtropical / kind of desert, because if you go like an hour inland towards like in the direction of Laredo, it starts very quickly turning into like a desert. And then if you go towards the coast, it becomes more like subtropical and humid. But that place from like April until early October, it's 38 plus pretty much, 38 to 41 degrees Celsius. So you're looking at 99, 100 degrees plus all summer long. Yeah. And then even at the time coming from upstate New York, I was like, oh, I'm going to love it because it's, going to be warm. I always wanted to get away from the snow. And it is nice for the first few months. I mean, even the heat, it didn't bother me. Some people down there say they hate the heat and stuff. They want to get out of it. And yeah, you just don't spend like huge amounts of time outside in the summer. You got to get into the air conditioning. But I mean, it is nice to be able to walk outside pretty much any time of the year without having to bundle up inside of like basically a garbage bag stuffed with polyester, which is like a jacket, you got to wear out in the cold around here. But you get that, and then you get the really negative thing I noticed was that you get friggin' giant insects, like cockroaches the size of mice, like literally, that are all over the place in South Texas. They don't even call them cockroaches down, they call them palmetto bugs, and they're all over the place.
Yeah, same as in Australia.
Yeah.
I came to Belarus the first time in 2008.
Oh, you've been here. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, well, we've been living in London, so we've been coming here summer, and because I'm married, obviously, to Belarusian, and I've been coming here summer and Christmas every year. And then finally, as London and England's getting worse and worse and worse and worse, we decided to leave, and now we're here full time.
Saw the writing on the wall, see where it's going.
Well, if things were getting worse, you couldn't say stuff. Well, you can't say stuff, police come around because you say a man's a woman, a woman's a man, that sort of thing.
Oh my God.
It's weird. It's like you call it a revolution. Things, way back in the old days here, the pre-Soviet times or during the Soviet times, everybody would say, oh, well, at least we got, indoctrinated in the West, hearing how bad it was or something over here. I came here in 2001 the first time, but I was here for a few weeks. And then I came in 2007. And it's kind of like, and then I came in like this last time was in 2021 at the end, December. I've almost been here 2 years. It'll be 2 years in December, and it's like, what a transformation! This place is just getting better and better. And and back in 2001, you couldn't even go into just a regular place to buy food and get fresh vegetables and all that. Everybody was canning food and things like that. You had to go to some special store in Minsk if you wanted like lettuce or something like that, and now it's in abundance. And then you start to look over in the West, and things are getting scarce over there.
Yeah. No,
it's just a revolution.
And the food in the West is not tasteless, plastics. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, even a lot of GMO. And here,
there's no GMO in a lot of stuff here. They made laws against it in Russia.
Well, yeah, but I think the thing is, you get some Western foods coming here, and it's against the law to tell people that it's GMO over in those countries. So you don't know what you're getting. So, you'd be better off probably trying to get this farmer stuff here from the Belarusians.
Yeah, I eat a lot of the local fruit and vegetables when I can get, especially in the summer. Family loves it. We eat it all. But yeah, about what was going on over the UK and Western Europe too. It's startling how much everything is accelerating. And I'm not like bragging or anything, but these are things like I kind of realized. Came to a full realization about what was going to happen probably about 2016 as I already kind of decided I wanted to leave in 2013, 2014 because of some things I had that happened to me with the federal government, which is a whole nother thing I could talk about some other time. Very long thing. But I kind of figured out that the political establishment in the United States and the West was pushing a clear agenda forward, and they didn't seem to be slowing down. In fact, they seem to be doubling down on it. And based upon human history, I kind of figured out that generally this is going to lead to a very bad place here. And even though this place was a great place at one time to live, it's headed down a very bad path that it's going to take it on a decline. And I thought it would be relatively slow. I thought it would maybe be over the next 15 to 30, 40 years that it would like start to really, really get bad near the end. But just in the past 5 years, it is wild, the stuff that is rapidly transforming the place over there.
You ever heard that expression, slowly at first and then all at once?
Yeah.
Well, that's, everything really seems to happen that way. And it's like accelerating in the United States, the decline and the...
Well, since 2020, it's been accelerating rapidly.
Since the whole the coup came about. I think that was maybe sort of a opportunistic thing. It's like 9/11.
Some people say a test, but I don't know.
Some people say that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, and I have a theories. I can have multiple theories on what the heck happened there, but all I know is that it's bad. I kind of feel sorry for all those people that are still over there, and of course, we should be lucky here that we came to a place like Belarus over here. It's and I also feel sorry for a lot of these Belarusian people because they're still they indoctrinated them here. I'm not saying the Belarusians did, but it was from the West, and I think Poland even admits they indoctrinated Belarusians. So you hear a lot of these Belarusians, and it's like it shocks you, and it shocks Dave, and it shocks everybody that's from foreign countries that come here. And you listen to these Belarusians, and they're thinking like the land of milk and honey is over there, and they want to go to the United States. And it's like you can sit there and tell them, no, it's not what you think it is. It's not like it was maybe 30 or 40 years ago. And they don't believe you.
They look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
It's mostly the younger ones I've noticed, because I went to the university too when I was here first. That was the first how I got here, was to get the student visa. And then I wanted to learn Russian. So I was spending a lot of time at the university the first 10 months I was here and studying it. And, I got invited to these English language groups, which is basically the opposite of what I was doing. These were Belarusians who were trying to learn English. So I would go to these hangouts with them, these like coffee shop meetings, and we just talk, and they would let me talk about anything. And sometimes we get into politics and stuff. And it was a lot of Belarusian girls, and they would be, basically not much, some of them not much different than American girls, except that they look better, in the sense that a lot of their views are similar. And I'm like, oh God, this is the stuff leaking in. I'm like, but I do find over here they're very, very aware and very, very
intelligent.
Kind of get it. Yeah, they understand what's going on, and they are against it. And whereas it's a lot harder to find over in the U.S. as somebody who kind of sees the whole thing that's going on.
Yeah. So yeah, we all find like I said, it just kind of, I mean, you find intelligent people, and they think that it's so much better over there. And then some people, they listen to you, and a lot of people will just basically get angry at you, and they don't want to see you again. But at least they listen to us because we're from over there. But I've seen some other Americans and Canadians and even some Belarusians that have been over there. And then there's some of them, they go over there and they like fail and they lose all their money. They find their way back to Belarus, and some, they even want to go back. And it's like, well, why would you want to do that again? And it's like they make a lot of money in Belarus. This is a really strange thing. They make their money in Belarus. They make good money, and then they go over in the United States and they lose all their money, and then they come back again. So it's like, isn't it supposed to be working the other way around?
Yeah.
But it's not. I can show you people that will tell you about other people that have gone over there and lost what they got in Belarus. Even though you don't earn a lot in Belarus, but the thing is, in Belarus, the costs are way down. Like if you own an apartment, you guys both know. If you own an apartment in Germany, I remember this was just a couple of years ago, and say you own it, and this is a small town that most people have never heard of, not really small, say about 70,000 maximum.
Medium-sized town.
Yeah, medium-sized.
Not to the city level yet, though.
Yeah, well, maybe it's like a decent-sized town in Belarus, say.
Oh yeah, that's a small city in Belarus.
yeah. So anyway, it's a good-sized town. But you have an apartment there. Say you buy the apartment, and because I was looking at this sort of thing, and your Hausgeld, what you have to pay to stay. I don't know what it includes. It's definitely your heating. It's not your electricity, and it's not your water, but it's your heating and maintenance costs and all that. And that was like 250 euros a month. And it's like thinking, well, gosh, I can rent a place for 300 euros a month, and then if I don't like it at some point in time or whatever, I can move. So why would I want to be stuck somewhere? Pay 250 a month, and that doesn't include, like I said, all the other, the other bills, like if you want television and all that sort of thing. And over here in Belarus, it's what, I don't know, maybe $50 or $60 average a month when you own in a place, and that includes everything.
The fees, yeah.
Yeah, that includes everything. You got, including cable TV and internet and your water and your electricity and your heating bills. I mean, it's like, you tell people like that in the West, they won't even believe you. Yeah. Your heating bill is higher than that in Germany.
Well, the internet here,
Absolutely.
the internet in the studio, we've got 1 gig up and down. It's only $15 a month. That's it. It's nothing.
Yeah. But, some things are a little more expensive. You want something like electronics, but it's not so expensive. When I was in the Caribbean, you had to pay a really good penny for everything. Everything comes from the U.S. It got to be shipped in.
Yeah.
and duties are 60%. And if you want a car, it's 150% duty, 150%. So you buy it again and a half if you want a car. So
if you bought like a $15,000 car, you end up spending like what?
45,000 or something.
Yeah, about
That's for just duty.
38,000 on it.
Yeah, and then it's not even that. Even when you do spend some money, a lot of time they inspect it and they say, well, it's more than that. It's worth more than that. So you're going to have to pay more duty than what you actually paid, even if you have a sales slip or something. Unless you're a big politician, of course, then you don't have to pay that. You get a discount, probably.
It's pretty well. Yeah. In the summer, we're paying, I have a 65 square meter place we're living in right now. And we're paying, it's like, 2 big rooms and the kitchen and everything. It's less than $50 for everything in the summer a month for all the apartment fees, the elevator maintenance, the trash pickup, all that. And then the stuff that goes to the building manager and the maintenance people. And then the heat, well, there's no heat in the summer, but electricity, internet, all that stuff, water. And then in the winter, it's under 70. So.
Yeah, well, the summertime, we paid even less. I don't know. We paid like, maybe it worked out to be about, to believe it or not, you guys are sitting, okay, good. Well, it's like about $15 a month.
Nice.
And petrol or gasoline as well. We fill up a 60-liter tank in our car, and it's only $55 US, and that's it.
Boy, are they listening to this in Canada? I hear people crying their eyes out in Canada. Boy, when they hear that, because those people are really getting screwed over. You got old buddy Justin Trudeau over there, and his government. I mean, we don't even want to mention that guy. But I'll tell you what, they're crying over there. They make thousands of dollars, and they can't save anything from that.
Well, their petrol should be heavily subsidized because they're producing so much of it, but they're too busy selling it to the U.S. and selling it to everybody, so they're getting the market rate basically. But a lot of the oil here and the gas is coming from Russia, which were contracts made years and years and years ago that Russia, because of their strong alliance with Belarus, decided to maintain those same price levels in those contracts, even though the world oil and gas markets have gone up considerably. So, and then also the Belarusian government does subsidize the energy costs for their citizens.
Have you also noticed no matter where you go in Belarus, it's exactly the same price?
I haven't noticed it.
I've noticed a lot of times that way.
You go anywhere in the plane, it's exactly the same price.
I don't drive
a lot of things are like that.
Okay.
Like milk, I was getting some milk, and then I go to some other place. I said, that's the same price as that other store over there. Some things are different prices.
Standardized.
I can't remember what, but it's but a lot of things are
food.
I think there's certain things and that are the same price. Maybe they say they have to charge the same amount, like flour or whatever. I don't know. But even even the costs like gasoline and all that sort of stuff. And then you have these people, like I said, they had this little, what do you call it, disturbance revolution thing in 2020. And it's what, and it's mind boggling. You start, I don't even know really what convinced these people to do that. Like they're told that they have it so bad in Belarus. And I met an American. I only talked to him for like 1 or 2 minutes on the subway, and he's like a doctor over here. And he said, yeah, Belarusians, they need to get out more. He says they don't know what it's like in the other countries over there. And it's just incredible. Like I said, they think it's like milk and honey over there.
The Western propaganda machine is the best that's probably ever existed in human history at promoting its own self-interest, and not only to its own people who are also heavily brainwashed inside the United States, but also to the population of the entire world. And they played up this American golden dream crap for the last like 200 years, and it has flown overseas, and it still is even right now as the place is kind of going in the opposite direction.
You see the size of this apartment where the studio is, right?
Yeah.
In London, to buy that is over £1 million.
I'm not surprised. Same thing in Manhattan, same in New York City.
Yeah, New York, yeah.
Well, our apartment that I'm living in is about the same size as yours. I think it's 64 square meters, and that was, I think, around a 70,000 US in a city right near the metro. I mean, very close to the metro. We got a big park right next door, and
that's what's good. That's what's good about this place is there's parks everywhere, and between the buildings, there's a lot of stuff for families.
Yeah, this particular area right here that we are in right now in Minsk is a good area. That's why I ended up purchasing an apartment right up the road here, because my girlfriend was skeptical about it when I started looking around to purchase a place, because this place she was concerned about the quality and stuff because I guess the company or whatever. But I'll tell you, when I came here to look at it in person and go through the area, and it was in the middle of winter, just like right now, and we were walking around. She was complaining because it was freezing, and I'm like, I got to see this place though. It looks to me like it has. It's not all. It wasn't back. This is back like 3 years ago. It wasn't even like half of what's here right now. But I was like, this looks like it has potential right here. The Wade building was finished over there, and I was like, that's impressive. And then the quarter where I'm in, which is the Champions Quarter, was only like half finished, and I could just see that this was going to be a great place. They had lots of playgrounds and walking areas and stuff, and they were going to a lot of store space was going to be there. And then they're building that giant mall over there too.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the biggest one in Belarus. Yeah,
Belarus.
And the subway station.
Yeah, it's
close
right
to
over.
it. Yeah, that's supposed to be finished summer, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's going to open up in the spring, maybe summer.
What, right near here somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. That's too long of a walk, I think.
Where'd you come from? The Klava Slobodaya or whatever station?
Yeah, that's something Slava or
That's
Slava.
right,
That's Slava.
That's right where I'm living right now. So actually, I can walk back with you when we leave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I live like literally 2 minutes walk from where that station is.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, because I was thinking, well, I don't think you could get a 85 square meter place here. I think all of these are smaller. I think.
Oh, inside the Minsk World area?
Yeah, I think so.
No, you got to go to you got to look, and there are, especially the ones on the top floors. The one I got is on the 25th floor in the Beijing building. It's actually 2 floors.
25th floor. So you're
24th
in a
and
huge
25th.
building. Wow.
I got 2 floors in my apartment. Not right now. Well, I own it right now, but I haven't renovated it, so we're not living there. But yeah, it's 135 square meters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I got a rooftop terrace.
Maybe on the next show, if you can, bring a video and we'll put it up and people can have a look.
Oh yeah, I think I posted it in
125
our Telegram chat.
square meters.
No, 135.
100. Well, whatever. Anything over 100, that's a big apartment.
Yeah. Well, I had I had the assets at the time, and I had a good price on it. I paid. Should I mention the price? Is it a problem? It was like 710 euros per square meter. I think it was at the time.
I can't remember what I paid per square meter.
So, I mean, that was the way they would price it. And I was looking at that. They wanted to try to talk me into like one that was 75 square meters because they were like, I was fighting to get this particular apartment. And they were like, well, we have this other one. It's around the same price. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like 1/3 less size and you're going to charge me more per square meter. And I'm like, that's why it's about around the same price because you're charging more per square meter. So I was like, no, I want this one at that price. And really, though, it is tough to sell those bigger apartments, though, because even though they'll give you a great deal on the price per square meter, there aren't the number of people who can get that sort of level of housing in Belarus. That you'll spend 6+ figures on an apartment. Locals, not too many competition. Yeah. So that's why I was able to get a good deal like that. I mean, you will see when I was looking around, there are a handful of $1 million apartments around this city, but they're very, very few and very far between.
Well, I'm always amazed anyway. Like when I go around on my YouTube channel, even it's like I sometimes I'm tempted. I want to show these people all these cars, these BMWs, Mercedes, and all kinds of things like that, all over the place. And I'm thinking, it's far, far, far different than when I was here in 2001. It's just incredible. You see some kind of a new car, and it's like a nice new car, then it's like, oh, wow, cool. Look there's a rich guy, and now they're all over the place here. So
I know for a country that has supposedly a $550 a month average income, you see a lot of Mercedes and BMWs around here.
It just makes you wonder, what the heck is going on? There's just some people getting snowed,
Well, and all the shops as well. There's all these shops everywhere selling stuff, and it's just like people must be buying stuff, like these diamond places and all that because they're still open.
Jewelry things at all the malls. I mean,
you don't see many people dressed very badly around here. Of course, you do get the occasional drunks on the street and stuff, but
half the young women look like fashion models.
Yeah, half the women are, they go over to America and like all these guys be looking at them like they're like supermodels practically. I mean, when they're just really basically average over here. Average girls. Typical girl.
Yeah, I see these women, and I'm sitting there thinking that must be some famous woman or something. But they're all over here.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch down in Hungary and over even in the Baltic countries. The women there are pretty good looking, but definitely this place is one of the top two.
Well,
so
one thing that I have to mention, and it's not like I'm not any LGBT type of guy, but anyhow, but the men here, I don't know about looks because I'm not going to be judging, but the men are they can do everything. They repair cars. They can build they can build things, and they're not like in a lot of places where I've been. A lot of men get like a tomcat or something, and they want to fight easy, and they want to, in the United States, there's a lot of people like that, and they want to show how tough they are. But you see these big guys here. I've seen these huge guys. They look like they wouldn't have any education. They look, like big gorilla guys. And then you find out there's some kind of like architects and doctors and things like that. Yeah. I say, well, that guy doesn't look like he would be like that. He looks like some guy would be fullback for the Dallas Cowboys or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of people here have got degrees and all that sort of thing as well.
I think they have they have one of the highest literacy rates in the world too, and they have one of the highest. I don't want to mess up the word for
schools all
higher
over the
education.
place.
Yeah,
there's
levels.
University. How many universities do they have here? I mean, everywhere you turn, there's universities all over in Minsk and all that.
Downtown's covered with them, and a lot of the city in general. But yeah, they have one of the highest secondary education rates in the world, as far university graduation rates in the world in general, but also in Europe too. And that's something they've taken pride in. I guess it's a kind of a carryover from the Soviet Union, where you get everybody to learn to read, and you get everybody some sort of education that they can use.
And what most people don't know is at high school and that they do 6 days a week.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Monday to Saturday, yeah.
Oh. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My son's not going to like that.
Yeah.
My dad used to say stuff like that about what was going on in China back in growing up in the 80s and 90s and stuff. He'd be like, oh, they're studying 6 days a week in China, and they have to go to school for like 10 hours a day and something like that. I don't know. Maybe, I'm living here though. What does that mean? But yeah, they definitely push, math and, get them up to par with math. And they have a very strict regimen. They want them to be like performing at certain levels by certain ages and stuff. I noticed that.
Well, if you talk to a lot of people, like say, wives or something like that, then they know, like, they listen to some piece of music and they know the composer and who that is, and they can name all the poets and all this sort of, and then like engineering, some of them still know the formulas of certain, how to figure all this stuff out. And I'm thinking, I never got any education like that. I probably screwed around too much in school too, a little bit, and paid for it when I went to the university. It's not like you can really catch up, but you learn a little bit as you go, to fill in the blanks or something, and I got good grades, of course, but I had to really work at it, put a lot of time into it, because I screwed around too much, I think, in my younger days.
As we all do in the West.
Yeah. No, I had some good discipline when I was young. My dad did instill that into me, especially the academic stuff, but then I kind of got away from it, as I became a little older, and just kind of got involved with socialization and stuff over there. And I think that happens to a lot of people. I think it's kind of the trap that you fall into in the U.S. You become relaxed and lazy somewhat. They don't let them do that so much over here.
Well, it's like they're institutionalizing it now. Like math is racist and all this kind of crap. I don't really know what the heck they're doing over there. I mean, it's like you hear this stuff.
It's crazy.
I don't know how widespread it is, but you see parents and things like on YouTube, on videos, and they're complaining about what the heck. I mean, everybody's complaining about all kinds of stuff, and they're just continuing on with that in the United States. And you shut up, or you're a racist, or something.
And it's also teaching this sexual stuff to really young kids in primary schools and all middle schools and all that.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just in the U.S. I have.
It's in England as well.
It's in Germany,
Australia,
the Netherlands.
Well, like in France, downtown France, in the middle of France, one of the best schools. I have a in-law relative, and she's got her boy going there, and he was here. We went running and things, and he's talking to me. He says, half of this guy knows like 3-4 languages already. And because they're really good schools, but he said half of the kids, the boys, are gay in his class. Half of them.
Oh my god!
And it's like, what the heck?
More like they've been trained to think that they are.
Yeah, I'm
that's really what's going on.
I don't know if they're practicing it or what, but I'm just thinking like, oh my god. And even I said that to his mother, and just the last time she was just here some weeks ago, and I said, your son said like half the people are gay, and she says she knows, and it's like.
Yeah, well, all that LGBT stuff here, propaganda is not against the law here.
Well, people that know about Belarus, like them, they want to come back to Belarus. They're trying to get out, and they're, partly because they consider Belarusians Russians anyway.
Yeah,
and a lot of Belarusians don't know that. And I should also mention that like people in the States, they hate Ukrainians too. I'm not talking about the American people necessarily. I'm talking about the government. They're just using them as pawns. You know that, of course.
They're just being used
They
as
don't like
cannon fodder.
Ukrainians.
Yeah, well, they don't hate Ukrainians either. It's just like they're like just whatever about it. It's not like they believe that this is some sort of moral crusade that they have to engage in. Because if the United States government actually believed in instilling moral crusades, it's had plenty of opportunities to become involved in the civil war in Yemen, where a bunch like 300,000 civilians or something have been killed over the last 10 years or something like that. Some crazy number, and you never even hear about it in the United States, like what was going on there, or a lot of the stuff that was going on in Iraq, which is, a lot of people aren't even really aware that, several 100,000 people were killed during that whole operation back after 9/11, the second Iraq war.
Mhm.
And they saw the bombs going off, the shock and awe on TV, but it was just I've met some Iraqis who were here studying Russian, and, then they find out I'm an American. And luckily they're all really civil about it. And I'm like, listen, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I had friends who were in the military during that time though. And the United States government, back to Ukraine. I'm going to get drawn off talking about something else, but yeah, they're just trying to weaken Russia is all it is. And I feel bad for the Ukrainians because obviously they've lost a tremendous number of people over this thing. And at the end of the day, look at what the situation is right now. The country is just screwed up. And yeah, they definitely fought very hard and held the Russians, didn't let them get rolled over completely.
Well, they can't turn around or they get a bullet in them.
Yeah, not much choice in that regard, and they're just scooping people off the streets by force, over there. It's a bad situation, really, and it is. The Ukrainian leadership is I don't know. We'll see what happens with them if they're held to account for it, or obviously it's nothing's going to happen in Washington, but we're just going to have to see what happens in that regard.
Yeah, well, anybody in the United States and anybody that's their buddies, they're not accountable to the laws. The laws are for the other guys. The laws are for Russia. Even if they suspect that Russia might be thinking of breaking a law, then of course they find them guilty right away.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer that's going to be the case though, because especially with this most recent Israeli-Palestinian thing, you see the mass support generally centering around the Palestinian side. Not initially, but it was after like the tremendous civilian bombing campaign that the Israelis did on Gaza, and over 14,000 civilians now they've killed over there, and like 8,000 of them being children, and it's just horrible. And this is all going out to people, and they're putting a lot of that video up around the world. And I know in the West they're not showing as much the Palestinian side of it, but it's like, okay, there's they attacked you with a terrorist operation. They killed like 700 of the people they killed were IDF or Israeli police. The Hamas killed them, and then the other portion, which was like another 700-800 people, were like civilians, but they weren't like.
Are you talking about that August or October 7th?
October 7th, yeah. What happened on that?
When the IDF killed a lot of their own civilians as well.
Yeah, because they sent the Apaches in, and they were just at the music festival, and they were just firing at anybody they thought might have been a Hamas member.
Well, that's one of the themes we really wanted to talk about. Was now I'm starting to think that Hamas. I don't know if they killed anybody there, to be honest with you, because they didn't have any plans to do that. I've seen so many reports now. They're coming out, and this was just in the last 24 hours. They're coming out with these reports that Hamas, they were going to blow up like 2 checkpoints or whatever, and then they were going to kidnap people, and that's it. There was nothing in their plans about killing anybody.
Yeah, they just wanted to get more of their prisoners out of the Israeli jails.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if that turned out to be true at all. Now, they definitely did, and I don't really necessarily fault them for this, given their history of what's been going on between them and the Israelis, but they definitely did kill like IDF and Israeli policemen when they encountered them. Yeah.
I'm sure they did.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't try to purposely kill any of the civilians at like the music festival or in like the houses and stuff over there. But the response from Israel, which is supposedly a legitimate, state actor that's been recognized for decades as a legitimate nation state by most of the world, especially the exalted West, goes and starts right up just carpet bombing Gaza and just slaughtering civilians, saying, "Oh well, we thought there's Hamas terrorists maybe nearby there, or there might be a tunnel there. Maybe this person was part of Hamas. Oh, but it's in the middle of a camp with 500 other people. Oh, just send a bomb anyway. Drop a JDAM on it and kill everybody there, just because we might get one Hamas. You can't justify that. We didn't even do that during shock and awe in Iraq.
Well, it's odd, this was the first time, and I was thinking, well, that doesn't sound like Israel either, that they kill their own people, because normally, they have this sort of a thing like one Jewish fingernail is worth more than 10 goyim lives, which means us as well.
Yeah, I
know. And I'm not saying, like I said, I don't want to be ragging on all Israelis or anything like that either. And I don't like people saying stuff about Jews because, that's not right either, because it's not, you can't say all Jews, some people, they're saying Jews, but they're not Jews, they're Israelis. And a lot of these, like, what was it? If you heard Galloway, George Galloway talking, that there's different sects of this Judaism, and the worst sect is what Netanyahu belongs to.
Yeah.
And it's even questionable if these people even believe in God, they're supposed to be Jewish, but it's, and what was also released not too long ago, I think just hours ago, it might have been like 4 hours ago. It came out in the news. What I'm saying is, but they had this so-called hostage exchange, and then they showed these, videos and what was going on, and all of these people that are released, these Israelis that are being released, are banned from talking to the media.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's they're to be fined like over $18,000, and obviously the reason for that is you see all these other people that were released beforehand, and they're all just saying praises about Hamas. They gave them their water and any kind of comfort. They did everything to keep them safe and comfortable, and they were apologetic.
I think it was because of that the first one, there was like an elderly lady, or was it like she had like a couple kids, maybe she wasn't that old, which she got released. It was like less than a week after it started, and she got out, and they had her do an interview, and she sang and this is like when it was right in the beginning of this relatively, and she's like, no, I was treated well and reasonably, and they gave me food when I needed it, they gave me water when I needed it, and they said, oh, don't worry, I'm a Muslim, I don't kill women, and that was it. And then basically they just walked us out to the fence, and they said, just keep walking around this way, and eventually you'll run into a habited area, and you'll meet up with your people. And that was it.
Well, Dave and I were calling this out right away. I think you can look on my YouTube channel, I think right after that thing, and I was and I was saying, I think I even used the word that this doesn't pass the smell test. This isn't quite right. And I think I even said it looks like Israel. I was bold enough to say that. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, you shouldn't say that. It's not really proven yet." I said it looks like Israel killed a lot of these people, and it turns out that they killed a lot of the people, a lot more than. As a matter of fact, they did the most killing.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, now the BBC was releasing something. I'm sure you might have seen that as well.
I didn't see that. No. I mean, I saw some of these reports, though. I don't know where it was from, if it was from the BBC or not, but I was. Yeah. There's so much stuff going on, and every day that I'm skimming through probably a couple hundred things.
Yeah, the reporters are complaining because they're being censored in such a way. They said when they talk about Hamas, they're supposed to say atrocity and brutal and all that, and they're prohibited about saying those words when they talk about the Israelis. And yet you see what, the
numbers, just look at the friggin' numbers. That's what you do.
And even just recently, when you hear about all the child trafficking and all of this stuff going on, and it's like the whole world is hearing about all this crap. And a lot of it is going through Ukraine, and then the organ trade and all that. And now they're killing all these children. It's just like, they don't really care. And they just, they don't care if there's children in there. They'll bomb a kindergarten. That's what I was upset. I was pissed off when they were doing that in the Ukraine. And I remember long before years before the war started, and I was that's the thing that really pissed me off most about Ukraine, and it got me against it. Of course, was I was kind of against it anyway. I knew what was going on, but what I got even more incensed was they're bombing school buses purposefully. The Ukrainian side was bombing the children's school buses in the Donbass. Yeah. And it's like, what the heck? What the heck is wrong with these people? And, oh, no, we're not Nazis. And I'll tell you what, I don't think Nazis even did that, really. They did it maybe over here in Eastern Europe, but that's another preconceived thing that, we're probably going to be getting into in times. It wasn't
Yeah.
nearly as bad as what they're telling you in Europe. Sure, Hitler was not a great guy. I'm not going to say that. But I'll tell you what, most of the Jews getting killed were here in Eastern Europe, was in Ukraine, of course, the Banderites, the ones that are in power now in Ukraine, of course, in their dirty past of killing, lots of people, and going through Belarus. And, of course, by now, since you've been in here in Belarus.
Belarus lost 25% of the population.
Yeah, actually, I think it was even more. I think it was like 30%.
Yeah, I knew it was at least 25%. And it's like, you look on a map and you see all these dots all over in massacred villages when the villages just disappeared. They killed everybody, but nobody ever talks about Belarus. They talk about, Poland lost, the massacres here, and I don't even, but they don't talk about Belarus. Belarus was like that. The soils were probably red with blood. There was so much violence and killing going on here. It's just, terrible.
Yeah, I've researched that a bit too myself. I mean, it might just be that Belarus is quite a bit smaller than Poland. 9 million people versus 40 something million over in Poland. I mean, I think that would have to do with it too. I mean, also people don't talk a lot about like what happened in the Baltic states with the Nazis, and there was some stuff up there too. But Belarus really got pounded, really got slaughtered during World War II. There are a few movies about it though that have been released. If you, I forget the name of this one. I only watched like a summary like on YouTube of it. Interesting though, it was about basically these two Belarusians who lived out in the villages outside, obviously in the countryside here, and how they showed parts of how the Nazis were just coming in and just like killing everybody in these villages and stuff back then. But yeah.
Well, we're going to go to Hatyn one time.
Yeah.
Is that the monument that's north of the city?
Yeah, we're going to do a road trip and do some videos, so we'll all go and do that. Have a look.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing on the show. We're going to be doing a lot of things like that out.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, so we're going to do a lot of road trips. I found obviously also found a gun range.
So real guns, not these like fake ones I see around here?
No, real ones. Yeah. And also we'll go to the Stalin line, have a look there. It's not bad, and a few other places. And we'll do some videos and then play them on the show as well.
Cool. Yeah. I wouldn't, let me know. Maybe I'd be down for that if I have the time.
Yeah.
We'll give you plenty of notice.
Okay. Anyway, what were we getting into? We were talking about the Israeli-Palestinian thing. You still want to go with that? Or?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about there. I did hear about the Oregon. They were saying that they were taking like the Palestinian kids out of there, but some people were speculating they might use them for organ trade. I hadn't heard it had been confirmed or not, but potentially, it wouldn't be another thing that like I'm not sure about. But if it ever came out to be true, I would be like, it's terrible. But I'm kind of not surprised after some of the stuff I've seen what the Israelis are doing down to the poor Palestinians down there.
The most moral army on earth.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you that there's
no such thing as a moral army.
There's no doubt they're the least moral military on earth.
Well, I mean, they're military. There's probably more and less. Everybody's on a range, but this kind of stuff definitely happens in other places in the world too, especially like sub-Saharan Africa is a total bloodbath for most of the 90s, actually.
Yeah. But when you're talking about, let's say Western militaries, and and then they have the gall to say they're the most moral military in the world. Oh, we wouldn't do this, we wouldn't do that.
Can't even watch Fox News and just to even see what's going on in the U.S. anymore because of this shilling that's going on for the Israelis is so disgusting. And you still have people over there who are talking about. If you go to in the comment section, try to discuss or argue anything with anybody on there, they're still touting the line that Hamas beheaded 40 babies.
All right. Still? Yeah. Even though that's been debunked already?
I thought it was,
I think one child actually, which is not good, but one child actually was killed on that, and most of these other people were all adults, I've heard.
Exactly. I didn't think that many kids were killed. I didn't know it was only one. I knew it was probably very few.
That's just what I heard. You can't, I'm not there. We can't verify all of this stuff.
It makes no strategic logic to go in for Hamas to do that, because what they're trying to do is galvanize support worldwide for